Hey scholars, it's Miss Marnon. So we're starting our new unit today. So this whole unit 4, is based on percents. So before we start working on percents, we're going to work on some tape diagram review. So we're going to use a lot of different diagrams to help us with our percents. So we're going to start with some tape diagrams and some fractions of stuff you've learned when you were doing ratios and different things in 6th grade and maybe even 4th and 5th grade. So our objective today is I can use a tape diagram to determine the value that is a fraction of another number. So when I say 1/3 of 6, or a half of 100, or 5/6 of 251. So things like that. That's what we want to be able to do today. So if you were in Canvas, the first thing that you needed to do was do your Delta Math account. So I just wanted you to have a quick note of it here. So the email we used, so that's going to be your normal school login with @scsd.us at the end. And your password is going to be your normal password, but the year you were born in at the end. So if you were born in 2007, you're going to put a 07 at the end. If you're born in 2008, you put a 08 at the end. So it's going to be your normal email and your normal password, just making sure that you're putting that year at the end for the password, because we just needed it to be 2 numbers longer. So for our DIN, is the table below proportional? If so, write an equation to represent the proportional relationship. So I'm going to let you guys pause the video and answer this question. Okay, so you should have answered, is this table proportional? So this was a review. So you would need to add in a column or a row here for K for that unit rate, and you would need to do Y divided by X the whole way down. So 14 divided by 2 is 7. 28 divided by 4 is 7. 42 divided by 6 is 7. So yes, it is proportional. And we know that because we got the same number for K the whole way. So if so, write an equation. So normally we write in the form of Y equals KX. Our K for this one is 7. So all we need to do is write Y equals 7X. And there's our equation. For our preview question, Bender won toys. He only plays with 2/7 of his toys. Draw a tape diagram to represent the number of toys Bender plays with. So if you need more room, you can just hit enter a few times. Make sure you're on the typing one up here. So pause the video, see if you can figure out what this tape diagram might look like. Okay, so you should have already tried to draw this tape diagram. So if you don't remember tape diagrams, we just start with a rectangle. Now, for us to do this, we need the total. This total, he has 21 toys. And our fraction we're using is 7ths. So we're going to break this into 7 equal pieces, which means, I don't know if you guys already know this, if you want 7 pieces, you draw 6 lines, and that'll break it into 7 pieces. So let's see if I can do this pretty evenly. I'm going to do my best. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I need one more, so we'll just add on. And we'll just change it so that this total shows it's that whole length. So there, we can do that. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boxes. They're about equal. We want them to be as equal as possible. He only plays with 2/7 of them. So I'm going to highlight, here's the 2/7 that he plays with. Or maybe you just want to draw it out. Here's what he plays with. So we're going to talk more about how to actually solve and figure out what that number is of how many toys that he plays with. Some of you might already know, and if you already did and you figured it out, that's okay. That's great. You're already a step ahead. This was just a preview question, so we're just kind of drawing what it might look like. So if you figured out that number, that's awesome and great, but we're going to go on to our notes today to learn more about this. So here is our first exercise. Aaliyah picked 30 apples at Beak and Skiff. She finds that 2/5 of the apples have spots on them. So I'm going to circle my numbers. Use the tape diagram below to show what 2/5 of 30 would equal. So in this one, they already drew us the tape diagram. So I'm going to click it, make sure you're in the typing one. I'm going to make it bigger so we can see it a bit easier. So it shows the total is 30. And here we have broken it up into 5 pieces for all of the fifths. We want to figure out what 1/5 would be. So, or 2/5. We want 2 of the fifths, so we need 2 boxes, right? 2 fifths. We need to figure out what it would equal. So we have these 30 apples, and we need to split them into 5 boxes. So if we're thinking about splitting, I'm thinking about dividing into groups. I'm thinking about division. So we need to take our 30 and we need to divide it into 5 groups. So if I do 30 divided by 5, I get 6. So I know in each box I have 6. And if I want, I can add these up and make sure it does equal 30. If I do 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6, we will get 30. So we want to know what 2 fifths would be. Well, 2 fifths is what I highlighted in yellow. This would be 12 apples. Now we can use this tape diagram anytime we have a question like this, but this next question says write a product that represents 2 fifths of 30. So they want us to do a product. If we don't remember, product means multiply. So I'm going to do a dot for multiply. Maybe you want to write an X above it. Sometimes X gets confusing because we're going to use those when we work on our algebra later. So we want a product for 2 fifths of 30. So you might remember when we did multiplicative inverse, you could have done this as 30 times 1/5 instead of 30 divided by 5. You would still get that answer 6. So 1/5 of 30 with 6. If I want a product for 2 fifths, I can use something very similar to this, but instead of writing it out as this and then add it up twice, we can do 30 times 2 fifths. And that's going to be our answer. We got 12. You can check that on Desmos if you don't believe me using the scientific calculator. If you wanted to type this as nice math, I just want to show you guys again under our drawing tab. We have this select button. So because I drew it off in the side, I can highlight it. If you did it in the box over here, it wouldn't work. You need to make sure you're out of the box. So I can highlight it. And there's this math button right here. And see how I actually have a problem here. So I need to hit fix it. This is the part I want to fix. And it still doesn't give me the right one. I want it as times. So maybe I just wrote it unclear. So let's just erase it. Let's try again. So I'm just going to do one quick dot. Because I circled it, it made it a little off. So I'm going to try to select it again. Hit this math button. And now it's doing it right. It says 30, the dot for times, 2 fifths equals 12. So I can hit ink to math. And now it's written nice and pretty if I want it. And I can put it right here for the answer. So that's just using that math button. You have to select. But again, if you try to draw in here and do it, it won't work. You need to draw outside of that box. So now we have exercise 2. A bag of chocolate candies contains a variety of colors. Samaj pulls out 32 pieces of candy, circle the numbers, and finds that 5/8 of them are colored red. Create a tape diagram that represents how many candies are red. So if you need to make this bigger, you can click it, make it bigger. I like it to take up as much room as possible so it's easy to see. Okay. So we know our total is going to be 32. So I'm just going to enter a bunch. So we know this whole thing. Is 32. We need 5/8 of them. This denominator 8ths is telling us how many we need to split it up into. So I need to split it into 8. So the easiest way to do that is to start by cutting in half. Now I got 2. Cut each of those in half. Now we're at 4. I cut these in half. Now we have 8ths. So I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal pieces. 5/8 of them are colored red. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. These are the ones that are colored red. So we need to split up this 32 into these 8 boxes. So to split up the total into the boxes or to split them into groups, we need to divide. So we can do 32 divided by the 8 boxes. and we're going to get 4. So now I know there's 4 in each box. So now I have my tape diagram. Now we need to use it to solve the problem. If 5/8 of them are red, that means it's these 5 boxes. So we can add 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. Or instead of doing repeated addition, we can do 4 times 5. And we get 20. So 20 candies are red. It wants us to set up and evaluate a product that gives the number of red candies. So I'm going to look back up here what we did. We did the total, the 30, times the fraction amount we wanted. So we did 30 times 2/5 to get 12. So I want you to pause the video, see if you can write this product on your own. Okay, so we need to take the total. So we want our total is 32. So we're going to do 32. Product we want times, and we're going to do the fraction amount we wanted. So if we do 32 times 5/8, or you could have written it 5/8 times 32. Both are correct. We can flip the order. That's our commutative property. And you can type it in the calculator and double check you get the same answer, but you should get 20. If you wanted to have that typed up as pretty math, we can use this select tool, marquee select, highlight it, and then hit math. Oh, and I have the same problem I had earlier. Well, let me just do a dot. No, it's doing weird stuff. So let's see. Maybe if I erase this, and I'll put just a single dot times. And I want to highlight this part. Didn't get the 2. Let's try again. Hit math. Now it looks like I want 5/8 times 32 equals 20. Ink to math. And we can put it right here for our answer. So of the candies that Samaj pulled out of the bag that weren't red, 3/4, I'm going to actually make this big and bold. 3/4 of them were green. How many green candies did she pull out? So we are going to have to make another tape diagram, I think, for this to kind of think this one out. So we're talking about the ones that were not red. So let's start with our tape diagram. Promise I can draw a straight line. So this is a really rough diagram, Miss Marnon. Do a little one. Okay. That weren't red. So if we look here, we have 20 that were red. That means this remaining 4, 8, 12 are not red. So I'm going to show that this is just those 12. So 12 of them are not red. And maybe I want to put that note here. It was 12 that were not red. We have 3/4 of them are green. So because we need fourths, I'm going to cut this into 4. And 3/4 of them are green. So let's highlight our 3/4. So 3 of the 4 boxes. How many green candies? So we need to split this 12 into 4 boxes. So we can do 12 divided by 4. And we'll get 3 in each box. That means of the ones that are green, 3, 3, 3, that's going to be 9, or 3 times 3. So we have 9 are green. If I wanted to write this as a product, we would just need to do that 3/4. So 3/4 times the 12 total that weren't red, and we get 9. So we can say 9 candies are green. So both ways are valid. You can do the tape diagram or you can do the product. We eventually want to be able to do the product because it's faster. But if you need the tape diagram to make sense of the problem and solve it, that's okay too. But just in class, eventually we're going to be working towards just doing this. 3/4 of 12 is 3/4 times 12. We get 9. Exercise 3. In a 7th grade class with 80 students, so we have 80 students total, 7/10 of the students wore Jordans. If 3/7 of those students wearing Jordans also wore a hoodie, how many students wore Jordans and a hoodie? So let's see here. We need to first figure out how many wore Jordans. So I have 80 students, 7/10 of them wore Jordans. So 2 ways we can do this. We can do a tape diagram. So here I have my 80 total students and 7/10. So let's break this into tenths. I'm going to do it in half and then break these into 5. 1, 2. So that's 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's also 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I got 10 boxes. 7/10 of them were Jordans. So this one, this one, this one, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's my 7/10. So let's look at this. So I need to split 80 into tenths. So 80 divided by 10, we're going to get 8 in each box. So I'm going to fill it in. So we have 8 in each box. That means we just want, these ones are the ones that wore Jordans, the 7/10 of them. So 8 times 7, 56 students wore Jordans. So maybe make a mental note over here. So they just had Jordans that we know of. But we want how many wore Jordans and a hoodie. So we have 3/7 of those students wearing Jordans also wear a hoodie. So there's 2 ways we can do this. We can draw another tape diagram. Here's our 56 students who wore Jordans, and we can break this into 7 pieces. All right, so here's my 7 pieces, and then we know 3 of them, 1, 2, 3, also wore a hoodie. So we can do it that way, but I see that this is already broken up into 7 pieces, so we can do it just this, 1, 2, 3. But if you don't really see that and you're not comfortable, I would say make this extra tape diagram. So we have 56 students that wore Jordans. We need to split them up into 7ths, and 3 of those 7ths wore hoodies. So if we have 56 divided by 7, we're going to get 8 in each box. So here's 8, 8, 8. 3/7 of those would be these 3 right here. That is 24. So overall, 24 students wore Jordans and a hoodie. So that is our final answer. 24 students wore Jordans and a hoodie. If we wanted to start doing this with just the product, because that's where we're kind of trying to go, we want this to be nice and easy. I'll do the products in red. We want 7/10 of 80. So we would end up doing 7/10 times 80. You can check it on your calculator if you don't believe me. It's 56. That's that number we got here. And then we also need 3/7 of that 56. So then you can do 3/7 times 56. And you would get that 24 students that wore Jordans and a hoodie. So now you have these practice problems. So it's going to be practicing with tape diagrams and writing out the products. So just these 1, 2, 3 questions. You even have some tape diagram pictures already set up for you. Then your exit ticket. So you're going to go through, do these practice problems and your exit ticket independently. This is what I'm going to go through and grade. So I'm going to check that your notes are complete for like 5 out of 10 points, and then your practice and your exit ticket for the other 5 out of 10 points. So making sure this gets completed, I'll read the exit ticket for you. Abdul collected 54 pieces of candy on Halloween. Of those 54 pieces, 5/9 had chocolate in them. 2/3 of the ones that didn't have chocolate were gum. How many pieces of that 55 were gum? So you need to figure out how many didn't have chocolate and how many were gum. Then your little self-reflection, if you need more space, hit enter a bunch of times. So I can, or I need help using a number line. And that's it for this lesson. Make sure you're going back to Canvas and clicking mark